Hi guys. For some time I've been wanting to do a video to explain how passwords are used in computer systems, how passwords are exploited by bad people, and things you can do to improve your password security. I hope this video will serve as a bit of a learning tool for those who don't know a lot about computers, but are required to use them in their everyday lives. User IDs and passwords have been used as the primary method of security for many decades now. I'll explain why in a little bit, but first I should explain how passwords are stored and used by computer systems. When your password is stored by a properly implemented computer system, those passwords go through a process that's called hashing. A hash is a one-way encryption, which means they are encrypted in a way which ensures that there is no efficient way to decrypt them. There is no way of decrypting a password that's sitting on the server. So the password ABC123 might look something like this one hash. This is the hash for the password and you'll see how the difference between password 12345 and 123456 are completely different. So there is no way of telling that the two hashes actually represent similar passwords. When you log into a system, your entered password is again submitted into this hashing process. If you enter the correct password, the resulting hash will be the same as that stored on the server. And if you get it wrong, the resulting hash will be different. So the comparison of the stored hash with the entered password hash will determine your success or failure. All of this happens in the background without you noticing. Now in the world there are evil people who want to compromise your password. These naughty people include hackers, dishonest employees of the company you are dealing with, criminal gangs, and foreign and local spies. For the rest of this video, we'll refer to these attackers as adversaries. There are several ways that adversaries can compromise your password. The first is by using a dictionary attack. With this type of attack, the adversary tries to guess the password by trying every word in a password dictionary. A password dictionary uses lists of words much larger than a dictionary, as they will also include the names of pretty much anyone or anything in multiple languages and anything known to be commonly used as a password. If you want to see what a password dictionary looks like, I've linked one in down below. Have a look and see if your favourite password is there. The second attack is used by using rainbow tables. A rainbow table is a list of hashed passwords and clear text passwords. If an adversary has access to the hashed passwords on a computer server, they can simply compare those passwords to the rainbow table. Any matches from the rainbow table will allow for an immediate conversion back to the plain text password. Of course, good quality systems can implement further measures such as salting the passwords, which prevent this type of attack. But that's beyond the scope of this video. Simple passwords secured on a server with a hashing process are not all that secure. If you don't believe me, here's the SHA-256 hash of the password 1111. A quick Google check on this hash password finds the clear text password on the first page. The SHA-256 hash of password ABCDEFG, another Google search reveals this clear text password equally quickly. So you can see that simple and common passwords are easily compromised by both dictionary attack and through rainbow tables. The third type of attack is a brute force attack. This is the slowest attack, but given enough time and computing power, will eventually crack the password. Brute force attack is a method you'd likely use to determine the code of a combination padlock. You would start with 000, then try 001, 002, all the way up to 9999, until you find the code which opens the lock. A brute force attack does the same thing by trying every combination of a password until it eventually gets the correct one. So the attacker might start their brute force with the letter A, then try the letter B, then C, and so on until they get the right password. As I said, with enough time and enough computer processing power, you will eventually get the password. So how can I improve my passwords to prevent them being compromised? Well, there's 4 factors which make really good passwords. Those are length. The longer the password, the more secure it is. Character use. Use of a wide variety of letters, numbers, special characters increase the number of characters an adversary has to try to crack the password. Randomness. Using passwords that can't be found in dictionary passwords. And finally, uniqueness. No two passwords you use should be the same. To discuss each of these aspects, I'm going to refer to some research done by Troy Hunt in 2011. I'll link his work in down below. Troy did an analysis on user passwords which were revealed by an attack on Sony PlayStation servers in April 2011, followed by attacks on other Sony servers. Sony, to their great discredit, was storing many of their user passwords in plain text. In other words, they weren't hashing those passwords before storing them on the server. Attackers compromised their security, and the passwords, credit card details, and email addresses of millions of account holders were stolen and published on the internet. But this is not surprising. According to privacyrights.org, there were 257,840,000 records compromised in 622 publicly admitted security breaches in 2013. But these only represent a very small number of the actual breaches which occurred in that year. Length. Password length is very important to security. If we look at lowercase letters only as a password, a single letter password would take a maximum of 26 tries before it is cracked. If you add 2-letter passwords in there, there are 702 possible combinations to crack it. If you take it to 3 letters, it becomes 18,278. 4 letters requires up to 475,000 tries. A 12-letter password would require this many tries to brute force it. That's 99,246,114,000,000,000 and some small change. Now you might say that 4 letters is a pretty good number of letters for a password, easy to remember, and someone would have to try 475,000 times to brute force it. At 1,000 guesses per second, which is easily possible, the password would be cracked in 7 minutes. Even more realistically, however, brute force attack is being done by hundreds, thousands or millions of compromised computers in coordinated botnet attacks processing different parts of the brute force attack. If only 10 computers were working on the problem, then it reduces the completion time to 0.7 minutes or 42 seconds. So while it might take some time for a single computer to brute force the password, multiple computers working in a coordinated attack will dramatically reduce the time it takes to compromise the password. Looking at the Troy Hunt data, 93% of the Sony passwords analysed had a length of between 6 and 10 characters, with 50% of these being less than 8 characters. The number of user passwords with a length of more than 13 characters was less than 1%. Character use. We started by talking about passwords which only use lowercase letters, but these are not the only characters which are available to you. You have available to you lowercase letters, uppercase letters, numbers, and special characters like dollar symbols, spaces, tildes, etc. When you only use lowercase letters, you limit yourself to 26 possible letters for each character of your password. However, if you use uppercase letters, numbers and special characters, you dramatically increase your available character set. So lowercase letters consist of 26 characters. Uppercase letters makes another 26 characters. A numeric, another 10 characters. So that's 62 possible characters available for each character of your password. Add another 33 symbols and it gives you a total of 95 available characters. A single character password would require up to 95 tries to crack. A 2-character password would take 9,120 tries. A 4-character password would take 82,317,000 tries. Remember that we said that with only lowercase letters that a 4-character password would take 475,000 tries to crack? Well, by including uppercase, lowercase, numbers and symbols, we've made our adversary potentially try 82 million combinations to get the right answer. And we've taken the attack time from 7 minutes to 22 hours, using 1,000 guesses per second. Now remember that 12-character password of lowercase letters, which resulted in 95 quadrillion possible combinations to try and crack it? Well, by using the additional uppercase letters, numbers, and special characters, the number of tries becomes this. That's 546 septillion, or 546 with 21 zeros after it. At the slow speed of 1,000 guesses per second, it would take your adversary 17.4 billion years to brute force. That's roughly 4 times the age of the Earth. Even using a large botnet of computers, they will never crack the password in a human's lifetime. Interestingly, in the Troy Hunt data, half of the Sony passwords compromised had only one character type, and 90% of those were lowercase. Only 4% of characters contained 3 or more characters, and less than 1% used non-alphanumeric characters. Troy concluded that 82% of all passwords would fail a rainbow table attack. Randomness. As we mentioned earlier, one of the attacks on a system is the dictionary attack, using a comprehensive password dictionary of words to see if any of them match the password. Where the user doesn't have a very imaginative password, for example using character repetition, their account may be compromised quickly with a dictionary attack. Troy Hunt's research found that many of the regular offenders for passwords, including the word password, 123456, and ABC123, were all there. All would fail a dictionary attack within milliseconds. When comparing the Sony data to a password dictionary of 1.7 million passwords, 36% of the passwords would have failed under a dictionary attack. Uniqueness. The concept of uniqueness is talking about using different passwords on different sites. It's vitally important that you use different passwords on different sites, particularly on sites where security is important to you. For example, banking sites. The Australian Signals Directorate Information Security Manual highlights one of many high-profile cases where not using a unique password caused a serious breach of an IT system. In the example, the adversary exploited a hole in the company's website to download the email addresses and encrypted passwords of all of the staff. The passwords of the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Operating Officer were both cracked, as they were not complex and consisted of 6 lowercase letters and 2 numbers. The adversary used the operating officer's password to access his personal email, Twitter and LinkedIn account, as the target had used the same password for each. The adversary then accessed the company's servers with the stolen password, deleted data, wiped the backup servers and defaced the website. Using the Chief Executive Officer's password, which had administration privileges to the company's email system, the adversary accessed one of the founder's email accounts and published its contents on the internet. The adversary also attacked the Twitter account of the CEO, as he had used the same password for that. If you use the same password across multiple sites, then you are leaving those accounts open to compromise. Your password only needs to be exposed once to open up all of those other sites. Troy Hunt's research compared data in the Sony breach with a breach at another company and was able to identify 88 users in common. Of those users, 67 used the same password for both sites. Other things you should consider is changing your password. I know your work IT will nag you to change your password from time to time. They only do this to annoy you. In reality, the aim of changing your password occasionally is to ensure that you're protected if your account has been compromised and you're not aware of it, by simply locking the adversary out. There are different options on how often you should do this, but it's worth doing it from time to time. You should certainly change the password of any service you use if that service has reported an attack or a security breach, or if you have any reason to believe your account has been compromised. In the USA, reporting of security breaches is mandatory, but no such requirements exist in Australia. The passwords you should consider changing regularly are those where you hold the highest value on security, such as work accounts, banking accounts, and anything else you see important. So what makes a good password? From everything we've seen here, the ideal password will be at least 12 characters long, but the longer the better. It will have a selection of lowercase, uppercase, numbers and character symbols. It will not use common words, which would be subject to a dictionary attack and would be different to all other passwords that you use. That might be fine if you're maintaining half a dozen passwords, but what if you're maintaining a couple of hundred passwords? These days, with so many online services, email, Facebook, LinkedIn, internet banking, blogs and forums, everything in between, remembering this plethora of passwords is nearly impossible. It's this reason why people end up using the same low-quality password all over the internet. So how do we manage so many high-quality passwords without going completely mental? Well, there are a few options, but they all involve a level of compromise. The first one is using password mnemonics. There are an infinite number of ways to remember passwords. The idea is to create a pattern to allow you to recall any of your passwords. Let's create a pattern to create our passwords, and we'll use the website www.facebook.com to show you how it works. First, we'll use the first 4 letters of the website, with the second and the third letters being capital. Second, we'll use the number of letters in the name of the website, the bit between the www and the .com, so that's the number 8. Next, we'll use a common word like rabbit, but we'll replace the B's with a number that is 5 times the value of the previous letter count. So that's a 40. So we'll have rabbit with 40, and then we'll put a $sign at the end. So our Facebook password would look like this. Using the same password for Twitter, you'd write something like this. Now, these are not perfect passwords. There's quite a bit of repetition in the passwords, and so you can probably do better than this. But using these type of techniques will allow you to create a pattern for managing and remembering complex passwords. The only risk with this is if your adversary works out the pattern, so make it complex. The next option is a password management system or password safe like KeePass or LastPass. These are a good way to manage your passwords. I'll link their websites in down below. KeePass is an offline password management system which allows you to keep your passwords in separate groups, all searchable via a simple entry field, and wraps it all up in excellent encryption. It's open source and it's free. LastPass is an online encrypted password safe which allows you to manage all of your passwords from your PC. For a small monthly payment, you can synchronize your passwords across a variety of devices, making your passwords available on all your devices wherever you are. I'm not going to take you through these password safes in detail, but I recommend that you check them out for yourselves. Password managers are an excellent way to keep numerous high-quality passwords. With them, all you need is a single password to access the password safe, and from there you can access all your passwords. While this makes access to your passwords easy, if the password for your password safe is compromised, then all your passwords are compromised. Also, if you forget the password to your safe, you will lose access to all your passwords, and thus all of your accounts. These systems don't have a password recovery method. A third alternative to managing numerous passwords is through a password book. This involves using a physical book and writing down your user IDs and passwords. The advantage is the book is not exposed to any form of electronic interception. The disadvantage, of course, is if you lose the book or have it stolen, you not only expose all your passwords to the world, you lose all of your accounts. So thanks for watching. I hope this was of help to you. I hope it gave you some ideas on how to create good passwords and what the risks are around using low quality passwords and repeating passwords on different websites. So thanks again for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.